You feel it, don't you? That ache beneath the noise, the weight behind your eyes, the quiet hunger you can't quite name, the one that no job, no drug, no comfort has ever satisfied. And maybe you've tried to explain it to your friends, to your parents, to yourself. But no one seemed to understand. They told you to settle down, to be grateful, to chase safety, not struggle. And part of you wanted to believe them. But another part never did. And that's why you're here. Because something in you still knows you are meant for more. You are meant for trial. You are meant for fire. You are meant to be forged, not managed. And deep down, you know this too. No one ever came to claim you. The trial never came, and because of that, you've been carrying a silence that doesn't belong to you. This is not your failure, it's your inheritance. But what happens next? That's your responsibility. If the right was never given, then you must make it yourself. And that's why we speak now. Because the Koryos still calls, and you are not the only one who hears it. You weren't wrong to feel set apart. There was a time you thought perhaps the Boy Scouts would lead somewhere, that earning the rank, climbing the mountain, would open the door to something older, something real. But when it ended, nothing came. School ended, structure ended, youth ended, but manhood never arrived. And so you wandered. From job to job, from state to state, from impulse to impulse. You did everything you were told would make you feel complete. Money, travel, friends, freedom. But the hunger only deepened. Because you weren't just looking for purpose, you were looking for the rite of fire. In the old world, it was different. The Indo-European tribes had a way to force their sons. They called it the Koryos. It was not a profession, not a unit, not a social club. It was a trial. Boys were taken from the tribe, often during the harshest seasons, and cast into exile, into cold, into hunger, into hardship. They went out as sons. They returned as men, if they returned at all. They were forged in hardship, marked by the wild. And when they came back changed. Not because they memorized rules, but because they were transformed by ordeal. They were no longer protected. They became the protectors. And that was the point. The Koryos was not cruelty, it was preparation. It taught obedience to honor, not fear. It taught strength not for vanity, but for responsibility. It forged men who would bleed for the tribe and lead it when the time came. No Koryos, No protectors, no leaders, only consumers. Only males who have never crossed the threshold. And that's what we have now. And here's the truth no one says. The primary function of the Koryos was to kill the boy. Not physically, but spiritually, psychologically, ritually. In some tribes, boys were forced to kill their childhood pets, not for bloodlust, but to mark the death of innocence, to separate them from the softness of childhood, and create space for manhood to emerge. Modern people recoil at this. They say it's cruel, but that reaction proves a point. The uninitiated always recoil at what is required. Today, society coddles the boy, then mocks the man he becomes. They protect him from hardship, then shame him for being weak. They warn him of trauma, as if trauma doesn't happen anyway. You were never meant to avoid trauma. You were meant to be tempered by it. Trauma is not the enemy, avoidance is. To run from pain is to remain a boy forever. To face it willingly is the mark of a man. And here's where most men stop. They name the wound. They see the gap. They recognize what was stolen from them. And then they do nothing. They keep talking about what they didn't have, as if that excuses them from becoming who they were meant to be. But it doesn't. Once you recognize the deficit, you no longer get to use it as an excuse. That's the moment. That's the threshold. That's where the right begins. Manhood doesn't ask for fairness, it demands responsibility. You weren't given the warband? Then become it. You weren't trained in youth? Train now. You weren't hardened by hardship? Then choose hardship. That is the beginning of the Koryos. So, can it be reborn? Yes. But not through fantasy, not through nostalgia, and not through theory. It can only be reborn through action, through discipline, through endurance, through shared burden between men. The military does not own it. It may provide it more efficiently, but every skill of the Koryos can be replicated. In your rituals, in your circle of brothers, in your training, in your sacrifice. You do not need permission. You need priority. And the Koryos still lives. It lives in every group of men who train with purpose, in every band that builds strength and imposes order on their lives, in every father who teaches his son to master himself. It lives in every man who sets aside comfort to reclaim the rights that were stolen from him. And just because you didn't receive them when you should have, doesn't mean you can't become them now. If he must, a man can learn to read at 40. He can reclaim his body at 50. He can rise at any age. But if we are to repair what was lost, we must do more than save ourselves. We must pass the fire down. intact, on time, and with strength. Learn now, teach early, and for those unsure where to begin, return to Mars the Avenger. It is the map for the father who trains the king. You are not broken. You are simply unfinished. You were meant to be tested, meant to be tempered, meant to be called. But no one came, and so you wandered. You weren't weak. You were waiting for the warband, the rite, the fire. Now you know why the hunger never left. Now you understand what your blood was trying to remember. And now something deeper stirs, not the fire of rage or revenge, but the quiet recognition of your place. You were never alone. Others have walked this same silence. Others have felt the same pull. And now you've heard the same voice they did. Come back. Not to comfort, but to the path of kings. This isn't a program. This isn't a product. It's a way back to what you were meant to become. And no, the world won't make it easy. It will try to shame you. It will call you cruel. It will call you delusional. But these are the cries of those who forgot their names. But you didn't. You remembered. And now, for the first time in a long time, you know where you are and what you must do. You've returned, not to an institution, not to a fantasy, but to something older than both. The fire is still burning, and the path is still open. The warband is calling you home. Until next time.